The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
This guy, what can I say about you, man? Psycho Boy Fodder, the man, the myth, the legend. Where do we even start?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me, bro.
You are an unbelievable talent, easy guy to get in touch with. You know, you've been in NWA. You've been in the business, what, four years now? 4 years?
Yeah, just right at 4 years. Yep.
And you have been in the ring with some of the best in the world. I want to call you like an ECW killer. Should we call it like that?
Yeah. I mean, the ECW run has been heavy this year with a lot of the ECW original guys.
Yeah, who's been your favorite?
Oh, my favorite. I mean, it's hard to say who my favorite is. Man, I mean, I have like favorite matches that I've done. I mean, obviously, like really, man, you know, to wrestle any of the original like ECW guys. I mean, they're all like their own thing, man. It's you know, like Wrestling Dreamer. I mean, me and Dreamer had a great match. Too Cold Scorpio. I always wanted to wrestle Too Cold Scorpio, and I got to wrestle him. And you know, that was like right after like the TMZ stuff and all that was coming out. Like that came out like on that Monday on TMZ, and then like me and Scorpio wrestled that Sunday. So like when that stuff had came out on Monday, like I didn't even know if the match was even gonna happen. And I mean, like he came and like we had a great match. Me and Rhino had a really good match. And then I think just to kind of cap it off was, you know, me and Bully Ray. And I mean, that match was just a total, man. I mean, like just, I mean, everything about the match, from like Brian Hawks, who was like the general manager at AML, being the special guest referee in the feud that we had going on, and then Bully coming in and just, man, the crowd. I mean, there was like 1,500 people there. I mean, it was one of the wildest matches. So, I mean, all of them, I have to say, like, all of them are my favorites, and all of them you learn different things from every guy.
Yeah. Who was your favorite ECW wrestler growing up?
Ooh, Sabu, probably.
Sabu. Is he someone you would like to step in the ring with if he ever came out of retirement?
If it ever was able to happen, oh, for sure. You know, I don't know if Sabu works anymore though. I think he might do like some managing type stuff now. But you know, I mean, I just saw Sabu in June. He was at the Bash at the Beckley Super Show that we were doing in West Virginia. It's run by Gary Dameron and Stephen P. New, the law guy.
Nice. There's someone who you haven't been in the ring with that I would love to see you in the ring with, an ECW legend. Do you know who that is?
Who is that?
Have a guess.
ECW. They still working?
Sometimes, if the money's right.
Shane Douglas, CW Anderson. I mean, I don't know if Justin Credible still works anymore.
Mr. Monday Night.
Oh, RVD.
Yeah.
That would be a crazy match. I don't know if RVD still does indies. Maybe he does some here and there.
Yeah, he does the odd few.
Yeah, like just like maybe like once or twice a year, like he might like pop up at like one of those like indie super shows.
I think this year he's done like 4 or 5, maybe 6. Could be wrong.
Yeah, and then he's had a couple of times where he was on AEW, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a wild match, man, for sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely one of the best to ever do it, for sure.
Is that something you'd be down for?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no question. No question about it.
Awesome, man. So let's talk about the NWA. Your time there. Good memories?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, everything about like my time there, I think was totally fine. Like the program that me and Angelina got to do with Camille and Latimer, and I love working with Latimer. I mean, he's a great in-ring talent. I mean, looks like a wrestler, acts like a wrestler, does all the right things in the ring. And I always thought like me and him had like really good chemistry in the ring. Latimer was actually one of the guys that was in my wedding party. So him and Camille were at me and Lauren's wedding. So good people, man. I have no complaints with the NWA. They were one of the first. I mean, like I had done some shots with like AEW prior to going to the NWA, and of course, like the Control Your Narrative stuff, and we did like the one deal over there, Ring of Honor. But like NWA was kind of like the first company that brought me in and really made me like a main character, like on the show. So props to them, and I'm always very thankful for the opportunity, and the opportunity may come up to go back, which I'm totally not against. I'd totally be okay with that, as long as it makes sense for both parties.
Yeah. So when did you know it was time to leave?
I think like maybe like June, or maybe it may have been June or like the end of July 2023, right before the NWA 75 pay-per-view. And that was just more of a thing that like we were just kind of talking with them about like creative direction on kind of what they were doing, and like we had some ideas and they had some ideas, and I had said like in a previous interview that, I think that when you're at a point where you're kind of like at a crossroads, and like one party wants to go one way and the other party wants to go the other way, like it's totally okay to just take a break and just say like, if that's what you guys want to do, that's fine. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to go over here and we're going to try out what we want to do over here. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, so it's like, no hard feelings there. I mean, we saw and like had a sit down, like we talked with, now we had left NWA like right before 75, but like in December, I wrestled EC3 for the NWA world title at the NWA Exodus Pro Show, and Billy was there, and like we sat down with Billy for probably 45 minutes and just talked. And I mean, we didn't talk like a whole lot about wrestling. We just talked about stuff. But there's no like animosity or anything like that. I mean, like, I think, he respects our decision and we respect his decision. And, if things line up for us to go back over there, that's cool. And if they don't, that's okay too.
Awesome. I mean, your time in NWA, you've had, like you mentioned, with Latimer and Camille, the few that you did with them was alongside your partner in crime, we'll say, Laura, your real wife. And with EC3, you had a Singapore cane match with Thomas Latimer, which the way I think if you get hit with a Singapore cane, that's got a friggin' hurt.
Oh yeah, I mean they definitely hurt, So I mean, when you're doing matches like that, it's just when you're, whether it's kendo sticks or trash cans or chairs or whatever the case is, I mean, you kind of go into it knowing what you're gonna get out of it, and you just kind of mentally prepare yourself for it and know that you need to put on a great show for the fans that are there in attendance and the ones that are watching.
100%. I mean, any match you are in, it's going to be great. Hands down.
Oh, thank you, dude. Thank you.
You remind me, what's the word I'm looking for? You remind me of like a ruthless, let me get this word right. Your character's ruthless, rugged. You've got like a bad boy attitude about you. You don't take kindness for weakness. Do you get where I'm coming from? And I think that's lacking in today's age with professional wrestlers. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think for me, right, it's more about, you know, Psycho Boy is more about the character. It's not so much about like, can I do this cool move? You know, it's more about, you know, what kind of stories are we telling here? And then, you know, how does my character fit into that story? And, you know, a lot of how I construct matches, you know, when I'm constructing them, you know, is a lot based around me doing character spots in the match. So it's more so it's more laid out to where when I take over in a match, it's very easy for the commentators to put over my character, because that's what I'm trying to get over. I'm not trying to get over the moves, because like, you know, 95% of the time at this point right now, like on whatever shows that I'm in, I'm either the main event or the semi-main event. So by the time it's time for us to go out and do our match, they've already seen every wrestling move you can do. The crowd has there. So if we're telling a good story and the fans are in tune with the story and the commentators are in tune with my character, you know, then I can just build my character spots into the match, you know. And if you watch a lot of my stuff, a lot of it is, you know, like I have a spot like where I'll like rake the guy's eyes down the ropes and he'll kind of stay there. And then I'll yank him back off the ropes. And then I roll backwards and then I kind of crawl to him like with my tongue out, turn him over and just choke him. Right. Well, when I'm choking him and I've got my tongue out and I look super crazy, that gives the commentators the ability to go, this guy is totally insane. He's got his tongue out. Look at his eyes. Da, 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 right. So even if someone is a first time viewer of me, they can go, oh, I get it. Psycho. Right. And that's all you're really trying to get the consumer to understand is who is this character that I'm watching on the TV show, and how can you make them know who you are right away. Right. So they don't forget. And if you're just a guy doing moves, then you're just guy number 4 that's doing moves on the wrestling show. People remember character things. Like the Dudley Boys is like a very easy example, right? Like when you say Dudley Boys, everybody goes, get the tables, right? Because that's their character thing, you know. So, you know, it's all the things that you can do to get your character over, because once you get your character over, that's what's going to keep you booked.
100%. And I think in today's age with professional wrestling, characters is big and key to the business.
For longevity, I think, yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, all of the guys, you know, when you watch, I think when you watch wrestling, you know, the people that stay around the longest is like everybody's a something, right? Like you got like Psycho Boy, Fodder. You got a Psycho Girl, Angelina. Brick House, Camille, you know, EC3, you know, Ethan Carter III, you know, there's, you know, everybody's a something, you know, Chris Masters, the masterpiece, Chris Masters, right? You know, what's his gimmick? You know, his gimmick is he's jacked, he's ripped, you know, he's like a Greek god. And all of that, you know, even somebody like Masters, like if you watch any of Masters stuff, everything is built around him doing his character stuff, the flexing, the posing, you know, it's all of the things that people go like, oh, like masterpiece. Like, I get it. Like, oh, like you're jacked and ripped and you look like a statue. You know, it's very easy to understand.
100%. And what your character, and it's different. It's edgy. And I think one good thing about your character is you've got this person with you. Angelina Love. Hey, you got Angelina Love by your side, your real life partner in crime, your wife. Psycho, like you mentioned, your Psycho Boy, she's Psycho Love, Psycho Love. The tag team that you two do. I think it's good that you're doing it together. I think you don't really see that as much today's age, like with real couples like teaming together and going on the road together. And I think that what you two are doing is amazing.
Well, and I mean, like, how we kind of constructed that is like, we met at TV, and then we like kind of like once we started talking, like we never stopped talking, and we were already dating. And one day we were just kind of just hanging, and I was just like, you know what, like maybe you should just like manage me, like that might be cool, like if you manage me. And I was like, maybe you can be like the psycho girl. And like right away she was like, yeah, like let's do it, like let's try it. And I was in a program in Georgia for district wrestling. And district wrestling was like run by Jack Jameson from the Iron Savages. It's like
Rings a bell.
yeah, like the two big dudes, and then they got a brother who comes out like with the microphone, and he's jacked.
Yeah.
So Jameson and like QT were running that promotion down there in Georgia, and it was basically like a program where we were doing like kind of like the control your narrative guys were like kind of coming in and like beefing with like the guys from like the factory, which is like QT's crew. And I worked like Nick Camarado in a main event down there. And then the next one was set up for me and QT. We're going to do a one-on-one match there. And that's where we debuted the gimmick. She just managed me like for that match, and we had like the entrance down and like everything that we were going to do. That went great. We showed it to Pat Kenny and Billy Corgan, and like right away they wanted to run with it. So they were like, yo, like, why don't you guys just do that here? Because I think they knew that somebody else was going to pick it up if they didn't take it, because me and her were both working at NWA, but we were just two singles competitors, right? But we were still dating and everything. And just us kind of coming together, putting that gimmick together, them saying yes to it. And then, I mean, everything from there, man, just kind of shot up for us.
I mean, everything happens for a reason, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no doubt.
So we know that Angelina Love has been in the business. I checked just before I came on with you, 24 years.
Yeah, long time, man.
Yeah, and I'm 24.
Yeah, so your whole life. Yeah.
Pretty much. I think she was like, when she started debuted, I think I was like 6 months old.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, very crazy. Don't tell her that. But yeah, she's been in the ring and with some of the greats. She's been, like we just mentioned, 24 years. What is something that you've learned from her? Like, but obviously not just being with her, like from the wrestling business. You must have learned a lot.
Promos, she is the reason why I'm good at doing promos, man. 100%. Like if you watch like just like all of our promos and how we do them, there's a lot of like slowing down and like knowing how to like work the camera when you're doing a promo, using different octaves in your voice and not talking at 100 miles an hour, right? Like, you see like guys like put promos out and they're just like, Saturday night I'm wrestling here and I'm going to do that. And then like, and they're talking they've said 5 minutes worth of stuff in 1 minute. As opposed to just saying, hitting key points. Like these are the points that I need to get over, and I need to get them over with my character, how my character would do that, and then get out of there, right? Because people's attention spans are just very short now. So nobody's going to sit around and watch a 3-minute promo on your Instagram page for your booking or wherever you're booked at.
Yeah. They
need it in and out, man. Like just get in, get out, and people will understand, they'll be able to digest, what you're what you're saying or what you're trying to get across, man, if you can do it in like 60 seconds or less. Plus, like if you're working TV, bro, like you're not going to get 8 minutes to do your promo. You know, like
True.
they're going to, you know, if they want to do a backstage promo or something like that, you're going to get like 45 seconds, man. Like you got to go ahead and like hit what are the points of the program that we're trying to hit and then get out of there.
Yeah, 100%. And what would you say is the most rewarding thing of being a professional wrestler?
When you get to work in front of enough people where you go from working at places where there's 10 people watching and everybody's just sitting on their hands, to if you're working in front of, you know, 3,000 people or 5,000 people at a show, and everybody's loud and they make noise, and you know, people know who you are. You know, crowd reaction is the thing that I think that you appreciate the most, because it's like people that come, that buy tickets, they pay to see the show, and they're there and they're making noise and they're participating, right? So like without the crowd, the show is not the show that it can be.
Yeah. What is 3 things you are grateful for right now?
My family, my health, and being in a financial place that I have worked very hard to be at.
Awesome. So let's get to this. I've seen the interview with Fightful. I have seen and I've read what it says and I've watched it, and you mentioned MLW, and then we mentioned before we went on about TNA. What would you say, let me get the words right, what would you say the biggest difference is between TNA and MLW? What's the word I want to give? The big difference between them two, but why would you choose one and not the other? What does the key factor have to come down to?
Oh, well, I mean, I think I don't know that I'd like choose one or choose one over the other. You know, I mean, I think they're both great television wrestling companies, right? And you know, when you think about like television wrestling, like what are you thinking about? You're thinking about like production and like how does it look? How does the set look? You know, how is the show edited? You know, what kind of people, you know, are there working backstage that you can learn from, agents and different things like this, right? So like I think in terms of the shows themselves, like both shows are great. I think a lot of going somewhere really just, you know, it really just depends on like, you know, who's reaching out at what time. And you know, a lot of stuff for me now is really just schedule. You know, because like I have outside businesses outside of wrestling that require a lot of attention from me. You know, when I first got into doing wrestling was just a hobby thing for me. When I first started, and then like as I just kind of like ascended, I'm one of those people that I can't do anything at 60%. Like I have to do it at 100%, or I just don't need to be doing it. Right. So when I started doing wrestling, I was like, oh, like I'll do this and it'll be fun. It'll help me stay loose because I've been doing bodybuilding for a decade. And, you know, when you bodybuild, you get real stiff and like, you're not really that athletic anymore. You're kind of only doing like what I would call like one-dimensional movements like curls or tricep push downs, you know, and your body's just not like acclimated to be like moving, like running, jumping, you know, doing all of those type of things. Right. So when I first got into it, I just wanted to just be more limber. And then once I started seeing like, oh, like maybe I can like really do something with this, then I just kind of turned the dial up to like 100. But at the same time, when you talk about companies, I say that to say this: when you talk about companies, there's there's still so much on the outside that I have going on. You know, NWA was very accommodating in the way that they ran shows, where I could still do all the things that I had going on outside of wrestling, and I could do the wrestling too. You know, I could work on NWA and, you know, be a character on their program and whatnot. And, you know, with the way MLW runs now and the way TNA runs now, I think both of them also run on schedules that would kind of fit in that mold for me. So, you know, like going to like a WWE or something like that. I mean, that would require serious decision making on my point if that was to ever be in the pipe, just because that would require me to give up a lot of things to go there, right? So like what I'm doing right now outside of the wrestling business, I can do until I'm 65, right? But if I give all that up, what I've been doing for the last 12 years or so, and go do something that requires me to give that up, that would be a big gamble on my end, right? And you know, I mean, I'm all about taking risks, but you know, but more calculated risks, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think both places, man. I mean, like their schedules and like, you know, the talent that they have there. I mean, I think both companies have talented rosters, and I think both companies have people backstage that are working and helping, man, that know a lot about the business, and there's a lot to learn from people. And you know, should either one of those places make contact, then you know, you may see us, you know, on maybe one or two of those programs, you know.
Interesting. There's also another company that you mentioned, obviously schedule wise. This could be another option. Ring of Honor. Would that be up there for you?
Maybe. I mean, it just depends on that would depend on schedule too, right? Because like they're doing like the Saturday deals, and like, you know, I believe they're still filming after Collision goes off air. So, you know, that would kind of require like fly out Friday night, there all day Saturday, fly back Sunday. You know, so, you know, that's one of those things where, you know, you'd have to, you know, somebody like me, like I'd have to weigh my options, right? On, you know, do you want to give up every weekend going forward? You know, because basically, you know, if you fly out Friday night, you know, you're gone Friday night, you're gone all day Saturday, half of your Sunday's gone, right? So, you know, that would definitely be something to think about. I mean, you know, you like, I'm somebody who considers and looks at everything, you know, like Ring of Honor is a great company too, man. You know, I mean, I know a lot of guys that work over there, and, you know, they have a great, you know, talent roster, and they run good shows. So, I mean, you know, I think when you're presented with options or offers, you know, like anybody should do, you know, you just kind of have to weigh that out, like the pros and the cons.
Yeah. I hear you. You and Angelina are going to MCW in November. That's good.
Yeah, they just put that out today. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We did. But that's going to be looking forward to that.
Yeah, we did MCW. We worked like a mixed tag there not too long ago against Gia Scott and Jadis Quinn. I believe that was their like December show, I believe. A lot of fun, great company, easy to work for, great crowds, man. The one that's going to be in Joppa in November, we're not wrestling on the card, but we are there signing. At the FanFest Expo.
Still be amazing.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun, man. We always look forward to meeting everybody that comes out.
Yeah. So we've spoken about Angelina, NWA, Ring of Honor. You mentioned bodybuilding, so I've just got a question myself.
Sure.
How the fuck does someone get ripped like that?
A lot of dieting.
We all need it, man.
So, I always tell guys this, like, anytime you look at a guy, like, if you look at like that picture of me, for instance, right? A lot of guys will look at that picture and they go like, man, like, how can I look like that? And a lot of people don't understand that, like, like I used to be very overweight, so I used to be like 250 pounds, way out of shape, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol. And, one day I just woke up and I was just like, man, like I really need to change what I'm doing, man. And I got with a guy who was a bodybuilder. And he put me on like a meal plan and everything. And this was probably 2012. So I always tell guys, when you look at a picture like of me, like today, that is the culmination of a decade of nonstop dieting and training. So it's like, it doesn't, like, a lot of guys think like, well, can I look like that in 6 months? Well, like, you can probably lose weight and get ripped in 6 months, but you might not have the amount of muscle tissue that like somebody like me has. Because it's taken many, many, many years and years and years to, put that kind of muscle tissue on, so like now, like I weigh about 193 to 195. But I have like abs and obliques at like that weight, right? When I first started, like my 195 right now does not look like how my 195 looked 7 years ago. I look completely different, and that's just from, adding more years on of just dieting and training and, muscle maturity and all of these things, come into play. The longer you diet and train.
Awesome, man. But honestly, 'cause I looked at that, and you've mentioned you're like 195 now with abs and stuff like that. I mean, I think I'm 185.
185.
How tall are you?
I am like 5'8", 5'9".
Same height as me.
So
Same
something
height
like,
as
yeah,
me.
5'8", 5'9". I mean, maybe I'm like 5'10". I haven't done my height in forever, man. But I used to, like, sometimes like when you do bodybuilding shows, like they have you in different classes. So they'll have you in like A class or B class or C class. And I would always either be in A or B. So the cutoff for A was like 5'8", and anything over 5'8" was in anything 5'8" and under was in class A, and then anything over 5'8" was in class B. And I was always either in A or B. It just depended on how they measured me. Like some guys would measure me at like 5'10", some guys would measure me at 5'9". And I remember I used to go in there and just like, I know my height doesn't change any, like every time I come do these things,
Crazy. You mentioned obviously your time for AEW, your photo there. I mean, you were ripped then. That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
What was your time with AEW like? Did you see Tony Khan or anything? What was the interactions like?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've met Tony a few times. Very nice guy. Very passionate about the wrestling business and all of the segments that happen on the show. Being at AEW was easy, man. I mean, like, they contacted me when we did the like that Ring of Honor invasion, where it was me and Braun Strowman, EC3, Weston Blake. The night we did that, I think the next day AEW hit me up and they said like, hey, we want to have you come do some shots with us or whatever. The first time I went there, worked a match, 6-man tag. Dark Order was against me and 2 other brothers, and fun match, easy. Big time crowd there too. I mean, I think they had like 10,000 that night at that show. Just, man, really easy, man. I mean, backstage, super chill, man. Great catering. You know, I mean, they treat the guys well, man. You know, I mean, they treat the guys well. I mean, I know there's a lot of things that like get said, but like all of my time there was positive. And then, and you know, like, you know, all of the, and I know tons of brothers that work there, you know, so, you know, I've, you know, nothing but good things to say about them.
100%. AEW is one of my favorite places to. I can't say go because I haven't been, but it's one of my favorite places to watch. I love AEW and everything about it.
Lots of good wrestling.
Definitely, they've come over twice to the UK now. They're Forbidden Door next year, so that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. I think they're supposed to be doing like the Forbidden Door show there next year or something.
Yeah, that'll be really good.
Oh, for sure.
It's going to be a big year for them because they're doing Australia. They're doing obviously Texas for the stadium, and then they're doing Forbidden Door. So it's like 3 big ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, they'll probably. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, they'll have a lot of good matches on that Forbidden Door show when they come to the UK.
Definitely. Who's 2 people from MLW and TNA you haven't faced that you would like to if you get signed to either company?
That I haven't worked yet?
Yeah.
Akira from MLW and CW Anderson from MLW. TNA, I haven't worked with Chris Bay, and I haven't worked with Frankie Kazarian. So both of those guys.
Awesome.
Kazarian was an OG, man. So like,
yeah, Kazarian's good.
Yeah, very good.
Is there anywhere or any time we can see you fly across the pond?
Possibly, man. I mean, dude, we've had some people hit us up about coming over there. But you know, like it just doesn't make like if we're gonna come over there, we want to come over there and be able to do like 2 or 3 days worth of stuff. And I don't know how that all that kind of lines up, but the times that we have been contacted was for like a 1-day thing, and it's just like, bro, like I can't like leave here and like I'll be traveling longer than I'll be there.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's, you know, we definitely want to come. It's just more so like we got to have, you know, maybe 2 or 3 days worth of stuff that we're going to be doing to make the trip worthwhile.
Would you ever consider doing like because I know there were some people are doing at the moment, you've got like Moose, EC3 and other little people, you got AJ Kazana from NWA is coming over. Would you do like a week or 2 over here, like a 2-week tour?
No, yeah, I mean, I would definitely be open to it for sure. Oh yeah.
Awesome. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Oh, sure enough. Yeah. I mean, we should probably get in contact. I know there's a guy, I forget his name. I think EC3 knows him.
Yeah, I know who you're gonna say.
Yeah. I think he like goes out and like finds like a lot of like bookings for you, so that when they bring you, like you got stuff to do like every day.
Yeah, I know. I'm funny enough, I'm friends with that guy on Facebook.
Oh yeah, man. Tell him to hit us up.
Definitely will do.
Yeah, tell him to hit us up. We're definitely down.
Who is your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling?
My what now?
Your Mount Rushmore.
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, if I just,
your wife is going to be on there.
I mean, we're talking males or females.
You can have both.
I mean, I have to put my wife on there just so she doesn't hit me with a fork in my neck when I go in the kitchen, right? No, if I had to do it for real, I mean, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Flair, Hogan.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
You know, Hogan, because I mean Hogan. I mean, man, it's like, man, Hogan is the business, man.
See,
you know,
my take on Hogan as a performer, not so good. As a draw, outstanding. On the mic, outstanding. Other little bits and bobs, sell merchandise, put asses on seats. Yeah. As a performer,
Like
that's
you
my
talking about like in ring wrestling?
yeah. I'm not the biggest fan.
Now this is something. This is very interesting. So if your number one merch seller, mic guy, put asses in seats, selling out stadiums, all of that, it's hard to say that you're not good in the ring. It's hard to take the leap, right? Because I always say, one guy told me this. If I said who it was, you would know the name. But I remember a guy told me, he said, if they bump, if they pop, if they give you a pop off a tackle, he said, why would you do a Hurricane Rana? And I had never thought about it like that. But he said, brother, he said, we're here, we're working, bro. He said, if they're giving you the reaction that you're looking for off of a headlock takeover, why would you go do a moonsault off the top rope? Right?
True.
He goes, man, you're working way harder than you need to. He said, are you working for the pop? He said, are you working for the pop, or are you working to get paid? And that'll make you think. Now everybody's definition of why they do wrestling is totally different, right? So, but like a Hogan, it's like, man, when you're over, and he's over, right? I mean, it's like, man, when you're over at that level, I mean, he didn't have to do anything.
100%.
It's so crazy, right? It's just like, I mean, he's over, man. Man, I mean, I'm trying to think of like guys that were just like really over like that, like where they just did, like they didn't even have to do a whole lot, man. Warrior, I mean, just over, man. I mean, like didn't have to do anything in the ring.
It's one of them, innit? You think of Hogan, Warrior, or you think of all. Because I've been watching. Do you know that Vince series?
Yeah.
That's another story itself.
Oh yeah.
That in my opinion, that series, I'll give you my quick take on that. It's not even about Vince McMahon. It's more like a WWE documentary. But that's just my opinion.
I haven't watched it yet, but I read somewhere where a guy was saying that he said like if you have like, you know, one clue about like professional wrestling, he was like, they're not telling you anything that you don't already know.
Yeah, it's correct. The key part of the series is the last episode, the last 30 minutes. That's what I've been told. I've not got to that yet, but you know.
And that's where they're talking about like the lawsuit and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's like, I mean, like, man, like, I mean, I already read and know everything there is to know about that too, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
You know, am I gonna waste like 6 hours of my time like watching the Vince McMahon documentary? I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm sure I'll watch it at some point, but you know, it's you know, I mean, I think everything that there is to know about McMahon, like everybody, I mean, I think everybody knows, especially if you're like grew up watching wrestling or you're a wrestling fan, you know.
That documentary is just pretty much telling us the Vince McMahon character on how wrestling has changed over the years.
Yeah.
That's all it's saying. I'm like,
well, and that's interesting that you brought that up too, though, right? Because like, you know, like when you talk about like the Hogan era and like that style of wrestling, you know, wrestling has just changed over the years, like, right? Like you kind of went from like, you know, guys having wrestling matches where they're doing like, you know, like chin locks for like 20 minutes, right? To, you know, chin locks now like last, you know, 30 seconds maybe. You know, so it's, you know, wrestling now is more, I think it's more based around like you need you need to keep the person who has the TV remote in their hand, you need to make sure that they don't change the channel.
100%.
Right? So like everything now is faster. It's
Looks more cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of the moves, like all the moves are like definitely like revolutionized now. With the way, just the way the business has expanded over time, and there's nothing wrong with that, man. Like evolution is just a process, like with anything. So I think just as wrestling has morphed, like every era has kind of got like their guys that were like the best in that era, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Like you've got in the 80s, you got Hogan, and you had the Iron Sheik, you had the Andre,
Harley Race,
Harley Race, Flair,
Harry Fong.
Mm-hmm. Then 90s, you had Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Steve Austin, you had Hulk Hogan again, you had Randy Savage, you had Sting, Kevin Nash, Razor Ramon, and then in 2000s, you obviously had Triple H and all that again. But you had Kurt Angle, John Cena coming up. Then now you've had Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, John Moxley, kind of. You know what I mean? Because you can.
I mean, they're all from like this school of like, wrestlers. So now, I mean, every like kind of like just every era's got their guys, but this is how Hogan was over, because Hogan's been in many eras. He's been in many eras, like 80s, 90s, 2000s, like, and every time he's just like reinvented himself.
One thing. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
One thing that Hogan said in the documentary series, he said something about wrestling being fake, right? Like obviously back in the 90s and 80s and stuff, they tried to keep it, closed in, didn't they? Different thing. He said, "How come wrestling is fake?" He said, "What is it? How can wrestling be fake when in the last 10 years I've had 23 surgeries?" He said, "Yeah, it's scripted. Yes, it's this. Yes, it's that." He says, "But what we do is not what did he use? Predetermined, or he said something." He says, "Yeah, but the hazards and everything's real. The bumps are real. It takes its toll on our body. Just for people like me. So you take your toll on your body, where you take a bump, you do this, you get hit by a Cigar 4K, just so then like the fans like us can, cheer, laugh, like get excited, pay the money. So you put your body on the line for us. Really, that's how it is, isn't it?"
Oh, well, yeah. And I mean, like, I remember my doctor told me once, he said, "Man, every time you get slammed on that ring, it's like your body being in a car wreck. Like it's just like a mini car wreck every time it's happening to you." And I mean, your body adapts, it gets used to it and everything, and you kind of just don't think about it. But this is part of the game. It's what you sign up for. And you want to put on a good show, and you want to do it well, and you want people to remember you for doing a good job.
100%. What can we expect from Psycho Boy Fodder as well as Angelina Love in the next couple of months going into 2025?
Man, I mean, we got a lot of things coming up. This Saturday I'm at AML. I'm working legendary George South at that show. Right after that, next week we're in Wisconsin. Week after that, I'm working Shannon Moore. I don't know if you remember Shannon Moore, WCW Shannon Moore. Me and him are working. Yeah. 3 count. Yeah. Me and him are working, doing a deal. Then we got WrestleCade coming up. So we'll probably have a really big match on WrestleCade. We got Blizzard Brawl coming up in Wisconsin, the big super show there. We got the deal in Joppa, MCW, the Fan Fest. I mean, lots of things coming up. And then I would say, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we pop up on a 3-letter brand at some point. I would say, I think that's in the cards, I would say.
Is there something you can tell us?
No, I mean, there's nothing like set in stone or anything like that. I mean, I think it's just, I think in the cards is like just like the best way to
Have
put
there
it.
been discussions?
I mean, we've talked to people for sure. Yeah, we've talked to some people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right, well, that's going to be interesting.
I can't say like where or like which places or anything like that. But I mean, we've talked to some people. Yeah, for
You
sure.
can say where. Just say it's in America.
Yeah, in America. There you go.
Awesome, man. Can I have an inspirational message from you, man? I ask everyone this.
Man, I was just watching like these little like motivational clip videos, and they had just this one, man, where this guy was talking about just never giving up, right? Like you never lose if you just keep trying. And my boy Hammerstone, check out our match on my YouTube channel, me and Hammerstone for the XWW heavyweight title. Hammerstone posted a picture like a week ago. And it had like a picture of him like when he very first started wrestling, and a picture of him like on NXT looking absolutely jacked like he always is. And he just put a caption. He was just like, the next time you think about giving up, don't. And that resonated with me so much, right? Because like, Hammerstone comes from like that bodybuilding background, like, man, hitting the gym and dieting hard as shit and like doing the cardio sessions and doing the wrestling and everything, right? And it's great to see like a brother like Hammerstone, it pay off for him, you know what I mean? Because I know Hammerstone and I've watched him put in the work, and I know that exact same grind that he's been going through, whether it's dieting or training or cardio or, just all the things, right? And I think the real message in all of that is don't give up. Like, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dreams. Just don't give up. And as long as you can keep putting in the 10,000 hours, eventually something will manifest from what you're trying to do.
100%, man. And I like that. And I saw that tweet that Hammerstone put up, and it's just crazy. Do you know, to see like where he was to where he is now?
Yeah, man. It's totally insane. And like, I put up a picture like that. This was a while ago, but it was a picture of me when I was like the first day I ever took a picture when I was like 250 pounds. I was standing in front of my bathroom mirror. I took the picture to send to my guy who was going to write my diet. And I kept that picture and I put it like side by side, like now, with how I look. And you just, you can look at one picture and look at like where you're at now. And then you can kind of see like, that like timeline of like how long it took you all. Like, man, it took me 10 years to get here. Right. And it's just like all the times that like I thought about like cheating on my diet, or man, I could just miss this one cardio session and it won't matter, or I can miss this one workout, it won't matter. And all the times that you didn't do that, you can look back and go like, man, I made it here because of those decisions where I didn't give up on myself.
Yeah, man. And look to where you are now. I need that inspiration, man. Honestly. Need it.
You, brother.
Literally. You pop it back up, best shape of your life. I mean, I don't know when that would take, and I just saw that and I was like, man, this guy's ripped. But no doubt you look like that now.
I'm a little bigger than that. I'm a little bigger than that now, but still in the same shape though.
Yeah. But anyway, either way, you're jacked.
Thank you, man. Very much appreciate that.
I need that little plan, that little book that you said, or that, the workout plan, or that you.
Oh yeah, the ebook. Yeah. I got my computer right here. I'm gonna email it over to you. I got it on my desktop computer here.
Awesome, man. Well, you have been an awesome guest. Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Touch wood, I have you and Angelina Love next time we are talking.
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get that set up like in the next month or so or something.
Yeah, that's going to be an episode to not miss.
Yeah, most definitely, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much for coming on. Take it
All right.
easy. Have a good evening.
Hey, thanks a lot, bro.
My guy.